I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a little story about a founder in the early 1970s. And before this brand was famous, I'll tell you the brand here in a minute. Before the logo was literally everywhere, it was just an idea. The idea started years earlier in college. He wrote a term paper about a new shipping model, overnight delivery using a centralized hub system. His professor gave him a C, said it was not realistic whatsoever, too expensive, too complicated, too ambitious. But he believed it anyway. He believed it was possible. After serving in the Marine Corps, he raised capital, a lot of capital, tens of millions of dollars, built infrastructure, leased planes, and hired people. 1973, the company launched. And for a moment, it looked like it actually might work. Packages were moving. The concept was very sound. Momentum was building. Then it hit. Fuel prices spiked, costs exploded, cash burn accelerated. They were just burning through cash. The company was losing roughly $1 million a month, and investors started pulling away. Banks stopped returning calls. Payroll was coming due. Planes needed fuel. Employees were waiting for payroll. And one weekend, the company had $5,000 left in its bank account after raising tens of millions of dollars. After signing leases on planes and buildings, they had $5,000 left. That's it. Not 5 million, not 50,000, $5,000. He flew to New York to pitch for emergency funding. He made the case, he laid out the numbers, he told them the vision, and they said no. They said it's just too big of a challenge. This is not the right model. And on the flight back, he did not go straight home. He made a little detour. This is where the story gets interesting. He made a detour to Las Vegas. Now, to be clear, we're not condoning Vegas as a way to fill voids in your business, but this is what he did because he was at a point of no return, no other options, no other funding was coming. He walked into a casino, sat down at a blackjack table, and put the company's last $5,000 on the line. Not because it was smart, not because it was safe, because he had nothing left to protect. He had no other way of coming up. Now, I believe in college, he played a lot of blackjack. He knew he had some skill in the game. He turned that $5,000 into $27,000 that day. He wired the money back to the company Monday morning. That $27,000 didn't save the business. It bought them time. It got payroll. It kept a few planes in the air a little bit longer. Again, this is 1973, so it cost a little bit less to keep a plane in the air. And it was enough breathing room. It was breathing room to continue seeing the vision. And it allowed him to secure the additional funding. Within a few years, the company had reached $75 million in revenue. By the early 90s, over $1 billion in revenue. That company now is known as FedEx. The founder was Frederick W. Smith. And years later, he reflected on that moment. He said, if we were going to go down, we were going to go down by fighting. He didn't gamble because he was reckless. He gambled because he believed in the mission more than he feared failure. He wasn't protecting comfort. He was protecting possibility. So my question for you is, if you are an agent, maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you haven't had the success you want. Maybe it's just been a challenging time. We know last year was a challenging time in the real estate industry. What are we protecting? Is it our ego? Is it fear of maybe getting out of our shell a little bit of discomfort? Is there something we've got to change? And so what I challenge you today is Monday, start to a new week. How do we act with the sense of urgency that Frederick did, right? There was no other option. It was an immediate detour and I've got no other options. What is the one thing I can do today that could potentially buy us breathing room to continue to fight another day? Because that's the goal sometimes when we're struggling, is to continue to fight another day. If you're slow, maybe you don't have any closings on the table. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? If you knew without a doubt this was your last week to make this industry work for you, what would you do different knowing that? How are you going to act with intensity today to make sure that next week you're waking up and continue to fight? Maybe with that $27,000 instead of the five, right? Like Frederick, maybe a little more breathing room, maybe some opportunities. I can give you 10 things that you could do. And I'll put this all under the umbrella of something I heard. I heard Alex Hormozy say he lives by the rule of 100 marketing, promotional, advertising, lead generating activities per day. Now, this could be it could be something as simple as a DM to somebody. It could be a call to somebody. It could be a VIP meeting. It could be an open house. If you knew that 100 activities each day for this entire week would change the entire projection, the entire direction of the business you're building, how quickly could you get that done? And I think oftentimes we just stop short of doing the amount of activities required to actually create the change we want. And so let me give you a couple ideas on some things you could do. You could do 2 open houses this weekend, get them scheduled. You can do 4 if you wanted to, but I'm saying, if you don't have business right now, go ahead and get them scheduled, market all week to get them done. Knock the 40 doors around the open houses that you're gonna do. That's 80 contacts. Invite them. Tomorrow, we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about how to blow up our open houses, so come to that. We're gonna talk about thinking about them not as open houses in the traditional sense, but as micro events. If you were to plan an event, how would you do that differently than you're gonna do a lot of open houses? A lot of people show up to an open house, put a sign in the yard, and hope people show up. We don't do that for events. We hire caterers. We want RSVP lists. We want to make sure there's food. We want to make sure it's an experience. How do we make our open houses micro events? Call expired listings. Another thing we're going to do. Re-engage every dead lead from the last 6 months. How many of us have a massive pipeline, a massive database, yet we're not calling them? Visit builders. On your way in, take a new route to work. Drive a different way. Stop by a new builder community. Talk to the sales rep. Get your lender to help you in this endeavor. How do I stack my relationships with people who are looking to buy and sell? Where can I get into a new group of people who might know somebody looking to buy and sell? We need more contacts. So here's the tension. Real estate requires patience, but it also demands vigor. So I need you to simultaneously be patient and yet operate with urgency. I appreciate you guys jumping on this morning. See y'all.